All right, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. It is Monday, July 10th. Happy birthday to my wife today. She's watching, probably not right now, but markets are off to a small red start. S&P, I think, is down 0.1% last I checked. Yeah, 0.08. Looking at the NASDAQ, about the same, down 0.09%. The Dow Jones currently flat at down 0.01, and the Russell 2000 also down by 0.2%, so losing the worst today. We're seeing interest rates on the rise, but not really much change from Friday, since we didn't really have any news coming out over the weekend to shift sentiment around. We do have a lot of Fed members speaking today, hence the name of this live stream. You're going to have, four Fed speakers all this morning, with Barr speaking in about 30 minutes at 10 a.m. You're going to have Fed Dolly speaking at, looks like 10:30. Fed Mester, one of the most hawkish members, speaking at 11. And then Fed Bostic, a more dovish member, speaking at 12 o'clock today. So 4 Fed members, one day, lots of Fed talks. That could end up swaying some opinions in the stock market and moving around the bond yields, but currently they're pretty flat, so the markets are a little bit flat, and actually looks like Qs is recovering just a tad right now at 366.66. All right, let's see what names are moving. You got Google down 1%, Amazon's down half. You're seeing Microsoft down 0.75. Meta is up by 2.4%. Pretty decent move for Meta, bouncing at about 290 in the pre-market. It's a pretty large wick. I wonder if that was just a mishap or if that was actually somebody buying in. Let's see, though. Amazon being down is good for me. I got an Amazon put. It's below 129 now, which is going to pay out well on my trade, hopefully. Currently up by 50. I was wanting to wait until Amazon's down to 128. With the rest of the market kind of going up, you're seeing the Qs up 0.2%. I would be worried about a bounce at the 128 level. Good morning, Gao. Good morning, Elan. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Let's see. Sorry, I got 2 of these contracts. I bought them at 180 a piece. They're going for 192. So $24 profit. Let me pull up the chart on it to have it on board for us. It shows the 129 strike price, which was the closest out of the money whenever I purchased it. I was trading at about 129, somewhere in this area. Currently trading at 128.78. All right. They're going for 206, 210. I'll take 210 on them. Not a problem for me. All right. Got 210 for that trade. About $60 in profit. Would have been nicer if this trade would have worked out on Friday so I didn't have to deal with the time decay over the weekend, but that's okay. Took profits on the Amazon 129 puts expiring this week, which is the 17th at 210. Looks like they just went up a little bit more after I closed. 215 now. But let's see if we can find some other opportunities in this market. So the markets are going up. Ideally, we want to look for a pivot to the upside if the markets do keep going up. So if we check through our little watch list, Meta's definitely doing the best. It's up 2.3% this morning. I know 300 will probably be a resistance if we look at the options chain. The open interest and the volume have a very steep drop at 300 from 14,000 to just 1,900. And then the volume drops from 11,000 to 1,000. So if we do see Meta trading close to 300, that should give us a good short opportunity. Interesting that the Qs is actually up when a majority of the big tech names are down. So maybe you're seeing a broader rally throughout the NASDAQ. Amazon's currently at 128, down 1.3%. Oh, we just lost one of our names. I think it was Microsoft, yeah. Let's see. Nvidia's trading at 425. I wonder if that might be a pivot to the upside. I wouldn't think so. I think the pivot for Nvidia is probably going to happen at 420. I think there's probably more open interest there than there will be for 425. Yeah, 1400. Let's see. We're actually going to look at the puts. Open interest drops by about more than 50%. Volume is low this morning, but it drops a good 60%, I would say. So we could see a pivot here at 425 on Nvidia. But the bigger pivot would be at 420 with drop of about almost 70-80%. And then this is like 80%. So Nvidia could be a good trade. Again, based on open interest dropping, let's see, 3,500 to 1,600. 1,700, we'll call it. Versus 3,600. It's about 47, so that's a 53% drop. Volume drops by about 2/3. So let's look for an Nvidia turnaround trade. You got to go pretty deep out of the money for these, unfortunately, which not exactly ideal. They're very expensive. The 440s are going for $300. That's kind of nutty. So we'll add them here. Not too confident for that trade, just based on how far out of the money the strike prices are. But they are going for about $295 right now, with the lowest that they've been at $250 and the highest that they've been so far at $363 when Nvidia was trading at $428. Noticing a wide spread. Let's see. The bid-ask spread for this one is about 5 cents wide, so it's relatively wide. It's just because the strike price is so far away from the current stock price. If it was the 430, I'm sure the bid-ask spread would probably be just like 2 or 3 cents. But the further out of the money you go, or in the money, the further you are away from the current price of the stock, the wider the bid-ask spread is going to be, and then also the further your expiration, the wider your bid-ask spread, because everybody's usually just trading close to the money or slightly out of the money. Weekly trades, weekly expirations, mostly. But yeah, Meta's doing pretty hot, still up 2.3%. Tesla's down to 273. Which is the point that it bounced just a couple days ago. So structural support for Tesla there. Apple's trading at 189, just below 190. So losing that level is not great on Apple. Google's trading below 120 at 118.50, and Amazon really losing it down to 127.66. It's a pretty rough drop on Amazon, but not seeing. The only pivot I'm seeing is on Nvidia at 426.30. These trades are going for 300. So we risk about looks like $40, potentially making 60. 1.5 to 1 on the, or I guess 1 to 1.5 on risk reward. And that's if we get back to those highs at 428. When does the Fed speak today? We got 4 Fed members speaking this morning, which is going to be Fed Barr, Chair for Supervision, which is coming in at 10 a.m. You're going to have Fed Dolly speaking at 10:30. You're going to have Mester speaking at 11 o'clock, and then Fed Bostic speaking at 12 p.m. noon today. These contracts really aren't gaining much value here, which is what I was worried about. Since it's so far out of the money, the theta is going to have a larger impact on it if it doesn't move here. But yeah, everything's in the red today, besides Meta, Nvidia. While somehow Q's is still hanging on to the green. All right. Trading just below 425.50, so this would be a decent entry point. Going for 280 at the ask price. 275, 270. All right, I think 270 is a good entry. All right, in at 270. New options alert. Opened a new Nvidia 440 call, expiring 7/17, 270. I'll set my stop loss just a little bit below where we're trading right now at like 250, I think. Cut my losses short in case it does keep dropping. But they're going for 275 right now. With Nvidia trading just above 425, which is what we want. We want it to hold that 425 mark. All right, just dropping right below 425 right now. Back to the lows from earlier. So we'll try to get out of 250 for a 20 loss. They're dropping too quick on us. 230 now. Okay. So we'll wait on a little bit of a rebound, hopefully. But yeah, definitely cross below that 425 mark. Open interest isn't really, well, open interest won't pick up, but the volume for the 422.5 is picking up about 50% of the 425. Good morning. Yeah, ugly morning time. Across the board, besides Meta, is only up. Q's just slipped red, down 0.1%. And Nvidia just dropped there, right below 425. At 424 right now, roughly. And it could have the recovery back where we need it to 425 plus, but it's a pretty significant breakdown right there on that candle. As you're going for 230 a pop. We're up to 245 almost. So it needs to pop about $1 in order to get back. Back to those lows at 422.75. So yeah, it looks like we're getting more downside. Across the board, Apple's down to 188, getting rejected at about 190. Let's see the calls. I think there would be a decent amount of calls above 190. Actually, no, there's a pretty steep drop in open interest. From 190 to 192.5. It's a huge drop, actually. Let's see if we have anything else that'll pivot to the downside. Microsoft's trading at 330, just about. Open interest drops, really bad there. From 330 to 332.5. So we'll see if Microsoft can slip under 330. That should give it a little bit of momentum here. And these are going to be a lot cheaper than anything on Nvidia and Tesla. Let's see, the 325s for this week. Oh, that's next week's expiration. 325s are going for 165 right now. 170. So keep those over here. They've already jumped a ton from 80 to 175, so they've already doubled in price. But again, I think that 330 mark will act as a pretty good accelerator to the downside. Just missed the price on that. They're already going to 190 from 180, 175 I was looking at them at. Okay, I think I got him at 180 there. Hopefully. 182. Looks like everything is kind of falling besides Meta still up 1%, but pulling back pretty steep from 298 this morning. SPY outlook for today, let's see. Fed needs to shut up. They haven't even spoken yet. SPY outlook, let's see. For Qs, it looked pretty bearish based on the open interest this morning. I'm not sure what the volume is looking like, but for SPY, lots of calls getting bought here in the volume. You're looking at 20,000 versus, actually there's double the amount of volume in 438 puts, so more downside pressure. 439, you have 56,000 versus 35,000 puts. So 439 would be positive for the market. 438 seemingly negative for right now. 437, there's a lot of open interest there. 21,000 in open interest and then 30,000 in volume versus only 3,000. So under 437, you're going to get very bearish, which is the lowest that we saw in the pre-market. So that would also accelerate it based on just a fundamental, or I guess technicals. Price levels, maybe getting down to 435, I would say worst case scenario today, but that 437 mark has acted as a support a couple days ago and then in the pre-market this morning, so we'll have to see how that manages at that 437. And then to the upside, let's see, lots of calls getting bought all the way up to 440 at 66,000 in volume. And the open interest doesn't drop above 441, so you might still get a little bit of push above 440 if it does go bullish. But I think that would also just be a pivot just based on the round number. So probably we just have an average day between 437 and 440 if we have a bearish day. Maybe getting down to 435, 436. And then if we're bullish, let's see where we might end up. Maybe pivoting. There's no real pivots that I'm seeing until you get all the way to 447, which is unreasonable to expect. You just have to go based on the volume. You could either call it at 440 or you could call it at 442. I would say 442 would be more likely. Looks like Microsoft's dropping here down to 329.30. Contracts are going for 220 now. Ended up snagging two of them at 182 a piece, up 22%. Nvidia just slipped under 420. So this could be another pivot level for it. I wouldn't want to go to the 440 strike price again, though. Going that far out of the money just doesn't make sense for this week's expiration. But let's see. Volume ends up dropping it's a decent amount, 5,500 to, sorry, that's open interest, 5,500 to 1,200, and then 4,000 to 600 for volume. So this would be a decent point for a pivot. It is below 420, which could add some more selling pressure to it. But my guess, if we didn't get the pivot at 425, it might happen at 420. Looks like the Qs is dropping really heavy, down 0.4% now. You're seeing Amazon down to 126.5. Oh, we keep losing a name. Amazon, Microsoft, Tesla, Apple, Nvidia. What are we missing? Not sure which name we just lost there. But yeah, Q's really selling off here. Off of the 367 mark. Almost down to the pre-market lows at 364.02. Playing airlines with Delta reporting this week. I wasn't looking into it, but let's see. Delta. I imagine that airline, yeah, they're doing really hot ahead of their earnings report. They've gone from 35 to 50. Jesus. 35. 50 over 35 is a 42% gain for the past, looks like about a month of trading. So it could be a little bit overextended. I mean, you're looking at 80 on the RSI, so if there's any sort of negativity around their earnings report in any way, whether it's lower revenue, lower earnings per share, whatever it would be, that would cause a significant dip in it. Their earnings isn't until 7/13, so I think that would be Thursday. And you might see it dropping down. I'd say that middle of this significant candle right here would be a decent expectation, down to like 44, 45. Any average percent I set my stop loss at? No. Usually it's just based on price levels. So for Nvidia, I opened the trade at 425. My stop loss was below, if it was below 425. And then if I were to open it right now, say a 430 call or something like that, let's see, they're trading for 400. So what I would do here, look at the chart for the 430 call expiring this week. The current low is 325, 335. It's currently trading at 387. So if it does manage to reach a new low down to 418 again, then I would close that trade at 335 or maybe like 330. Give it a little bit of wiggle room just in case. Hopefully Tesla can get back to 274. Tesla's below 270. Wow. That's a bit shocking. Open interest drops almost 50%. I wouldn't call it a pivot at 270 though, since it's not more than 50%. But the volume definitely drops a lot to the 267.5 strike. Looks like Microsoft's getting its way back up to 330 and change. Hourly chart's looking very bearish. You're looking at 23 on the RSI, so a pretty heavy sell-off for the hourly chart. Very unusual. The last time that we saw that was, looks like about 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago. And then before that, just a few days earlier. So it doesn't like to spend a lot of time being oversold in the hourly chart. Oh, we got one of the Fed members should be starting to speak right now. Let's see which one it is. Fed Bar speaking now, I think. Right, yeah. Fed Chair Bar speaking. We'll see if we can pull up their speech or not. Fed speaker calendar, maybe. Today is the 10th. Wow, we can watch them live. Let's see. And they're going to be speaking on bank capital. Probably won't have too much impact on the market. Maybe some impact on the regional banks, which are actually up surprisingly this morning. You're seeing IWM up 1.2% too. That's unusual for the Russell to be doing well this morning, where you're seeing QQQ fall in 0.3%. So you're seeing a rotation out of tech into small caps. And SPY is green 0.2%. The Dow Jones is up 0.6%. So you're definitely seeing the rotation trade playing today. But volatility is doing pretty well. You're seeing the VIX just above 15, 3% for the day. But yeah, the big tech names are getting a decent sell-off right now. Very nice. Yeah, you're seeing some bounce for the Qs. Right at 364. Options market not really signaling that U-turn, but yeah, pretty strong bounce off those lows. You're seeing a few names picking up here. Microsoft back above 330. Nvidia just went above 420 again, 421.20 right now. Ulta call printed. Let's see, Ulta. Yeah, they're up 1.2%. So yeah, you're seeing some trading out of the big tech names and into retail, it looks like, with Ulta at least. Let's see, Target also up 1.1%. Walmart up by 1.2%. So you're seeing some money flowing into retail. XRT is even up 1.4% for an ETF. That's pretty damn big. Rebalance of the NASDAQ. Not sure when that is. I'm sure I helped spend my half money in Ulta, the other half in Sephora. Tesla's trading right at 271. Bounce at 260, 780. But I don't really see a pivot happening at that price. So we'll see if Q's keeps managing to come down if it sees 364 again. But right now you're seeing a decent bounce across the board. Let's see, Amazon's still down pretty bad. 2.5% today. Microsoft's down 2%. Apple's down 1.3%. So those two names being down, over 1% are definitely going to have some impact on the Qs trading lower. Nvidia's getting a little bit of a bounce here too, right above 420. Oh, that's what we're missing. We're missing Google. I was trying to figure out which stock wasn't on here. Yeah, Google's down 2% right now to 117.80. No, don't use any Bollinger Bands. Usually RSI can give you a good read on if a stock is overbought or oversold, which is usually what Bollinger Bands are for, and trying to find the mean or the average for it. And I usually don't even use RSI too often, just to figure out if a stock is bullish or bearish and if there's any possible pivots. Yeah, QQQ bounced right at about 30 on the RSI, so it didn't quite get oversold. And like I said, Microsoft has a hard time being oversold in the hourly chart, so that one ended up bouncing just below 330. Yeah, everybody's going to buy a pink house now. IWM is at 1.5%. That is pretty damn big today. Up to 187.5. The last high that we got was 188.40. 188. Let's see. Almost 189 actually. So we could see a decent squeeze above 190 if this really gets going in the next couple of days, if it can continue the next couple of days. You're going to have the CPI coming out on Wednesday, which might have some impact one way or another. with the CPI expected at 3.1% year-over-year reading. I think if we do get 3.1% or lower, markets will definitely react positively to that. And then if we get, say, like 3.4, 3.5, you're going to have a pretty negative reaction to it. But yeah, everything getting a little bit of a recovery here. Nvidia to 422, Microsoft to 331.50. So you're getting some movement back to the upside. And it looks like Q's is right back to break even, 366. So a quick little morning dip, followed by what's looking to be a V-shaped recovery. Meta's still hanging pretty close to the lows though. And that was the top gainer this morning, up to 298. So you're seeing the top gainer losing its momentum. Amazon still doesn't have the momentum to get back to the 130 mark that I got rejected by this morning. Google's still down pretty heavy. Looks like Microsoft is the... actually not that bad. So we're seeing almost a V-shape for the Qs, but not really anything else. Let's check on Microsoft with that 330 level again. See if the volume picked up above that. Yeah, about 50% of the volume going into the 332s versus the 330s. But the open interest is still very low compared to it. 734 versus 5,000. So if the volume slows down on the 332.5, that could weigh this back down under 330 in the next couple of days, I would think. So I'll probably hold that 330 put. Went to 271. Let's see. Tesla, yeah, right at 271 right now. I don't know if the 270 level is going to act as a support. There's a decent chance that it does. But I wouldn't put too much on it. Because the drop in open interest isn't quite 50%. It's just like, it's almost 50%, but not quite there. So I wouldn't be entirely confident on the pivot at 270. Hi, Donald. Any thoughts on IEP covering shorts? What the heck is this? Okay. IEP. A lot of volume going into that. Yeah, definitely looks like start of short covering. It ended up breaking above the 32 level, which I guess ended up triggering some people to exit their short positions if they took it a little bit too late. Nice little gap up from 29 to 34 right now. The gap up was to 32-ish. So yeah, I would say definitely some covering going on. A lot of volume compared to what we've been seeing. This is the highest volume since June 16th. And it's only 10:30 a.m. So definitely a lot of momentum going in this one. It's up 17% today. I would probably want to take profits almost where it's trading right now, though. You got some resistance just above you at 35-ish. And then like 36. So I don't know if you have too much upside potential on that. Looks like Nvidia's losing its momentum on that V-shape recovery. 40 on the RSI. Not quite getting to 50 to go bullish. All right. So cut losses on that Nvidia call by about $80. And then still holding on to that Microsoft short. was 178, not 278. Microsoft stalling out here right now at 332. Give it more time to recover. Just curious. So I'm not really seeing much momentum to the upside, or I wasn't seeing much momentum to the upside for Nvidia. The last couple of candles definitely slowed down compared to, you know, this huge jump from 420 to 422. And it looks like Q's kind of acting the same, but actually breaking out just above 366 right now. And I still have the short position for Microsoft to play any more downside for the day. And I might end up getting a little bit more just based on that 330 level acting as a accelerator to the downside like we were talking about based on the calls. Yeah, no problem. 424. Yeah, so it is up a little bit more. These are trading for 210. I let them go for 180. So could have saved myself like $30, but more focus on that Microsoft trade with that flattening out at 332, being down 1.6%. And you're seeing pretty much everything in the red besides Meta. So it's a bearish day for all the big tech names, but Q's is actually managing to be positive. But yeah, that 420 level was definitely a better long opportunity for Nvidia for a turnaround trade than that 425 mark that we got in for. And you can just look at the volume open interest for that, dropping much more significantly below that versus the 425. Yeah, the volume is actually just about the same for the 425 and 422.5 puts. And then the volume on the 420 to 417 drops by about 70%. And then the open interest drops by, looks about the same, 70-80%. Doesn't look like any pivots for Meta at 295, but let's check the other names. Nvidia possibly dropping at 425. You're seeing about half the volume, about a third, a little bit more on open interest. So you might have to pivot back to the downside at 425 for Nvidia, unless people start buying into the 427.5s in bulk. And you can actually go closer to the strike price for those versus what I was getting on the calls, interesting enough. I had to go 440 for the calls, but I can get 415 puts for 330. It's only needing to go $10 out of the money instead of 15. The lowest that these got was, let's see, 285 this morning. They're going for 340 right now. 350. Yeah, I think 330 to 340 would be a good price. There we go. And like I said, lots of 425 calls getting bought, 8,100. Looking at the 427, you only have 3,400, so you're seeing a even steeper drop in the volume than what we were before. And then the open interest is more than 50%. Q's almost making its way back up to the highs, so nearly a V-shaped recovery to 367. And the highest of those contracts went this morning when Nvidia was 420, was all the way up to 575. So decent potential return if it does end up reversing all of that. I wouldn't expect that though. Let's see where we might expect. Let's see the puts. If we're looking for a pivot, it wouldn't happen until 420, but I don't think I want to short it all the way back to 420. I think that's a bit of a stretch to go from 420 to 425 and back to 420. Unless we give it like a day or two. Market manipulation at its finest, drop like that without data. Yeah. You should have Fed members speaking right now. Fed Bar should have spoke already, extending enhanced capital standards to banks with $100 billion, so they're tightening the standards on large banks. But that's really not going to have too much impact on the stock market, I don't think. And you have another Fed member speaking in 1 minute. I forget who it is. I think it's Fed Dolly, if I remember right, D-A-L-Y. at 10:30 if I remember correctly. Well, let's see. Today's economic calendar. Today is not the 7th. I gotta refresh that. Yeah, Fed member Dolly speaking right now. So lots of Fed members to shake up the markets one direction or the other, depending on if they're hawkish or dovish. Not sure where Dolly lands. I think they're more dovish. Fed cheat sheet. This will tell you if they're hawkish or dovish, whether they're in favor of raising rates more or not. And Fed Bostic, again, they're more dovish. They're speaking at 12 o'clock. And then we're looking for Dolly. Let's see, speaking at... So they are more hawkish, but not super hawkish. Nvidia's trying to go lower, but catching some support right at 423.40. Contracts are going for 360. I bought them for 340. Don't really have a target to the downside, I don't think. It'd be nice if we could let these contracts go above 400. They were going for 420 right after this big candle here. When Nvidia was trading at 422. So still a $1.60 drop you need for that. All right, now we're seeing the 422s again. That was a pretty quick rollover. Again, that 425 should have been resistance based on the options market, and the drop in open interest and volume was heavy. Now it's definitely going to be heavier with that drop off of 425. Contracts are going for 380. And it doesn't look like we'll get too much more out of them. Microsoft's pulling back here too, down to 331 again. So that slips under 330. Again, we'll get that acceleration to the downside. Qs will start losing more. But yeah, we had a nice little V-shaped recovery started, but now it's turning into an M. Into a double top nearly. Good morning, AA. Do I think Qs will go back to 370? Let's see, trading at 366 right now. So today, probably not. Maybe on Wednesday. I think that could play out. With the CPI report coming out, that could be a positive catalyst. But here we go. Nvidia losing ground down to 421. Contracts are going for 425. 420. I'll take the magical 420 number. Nope, did not get that. Sold it a little bit too late. $4.15 is fine with me. I'll give up my $5. Took profits on the 415 Nvidia put, expiring 7/17 at 415. Nice little $75 profit. And that sweet pivot. Weeble. Yeah, don't do market orders. They're quick, which is nice, but you can get ripped off big time. If somebody has just a ridiculously low bid or ridiculously high ask price, then you can get screwed over. Like if somebody wants to buy Tesla for $1, they shouldn't be able to put in the order if it's too far away, but sometimes those orders can go through, and if you do a market price, you're going to be matched up with that person that's selling or that's buying Tesla for $1. Yep, never do market orders. They're nice for speed, but for pricing, it's the worst. If you can, I think one of the people in my Discord ended up creating something to where you can buy the ask or sell the bid, which is going to be the quickest way to get your order filled anyway. Let's see if I can find that message from them. I'll have to reach out to him. But yeah, he made some sort of program on Thinkorswim to where you can buy He has a button where you can buy the ask or sell the bid. Where I took my entries. So the options that I took this morning, there's 3 of them. The 415 puts on Nvidia, I ended up buying those at $3.40 a piece. And I ended up buying them at, I think, this candle. I'm not sure if it was this one or the one before. Right here. And then I ended up selling it at 415 on this candle for my exit. For the Microsoft puts that I bought a little bit too early. But I snagged them up at 156 before the drop here. And right now they're trading at, oh, hold on, that's the current price of them. I bought them at 182 actually. So right on this candle before it went to 225. But yeah, this one I think I'm probably going to hold into tomorrow, I'm guessing. Just based on that 330 level acting as an accelerator to the downside. I definitely want to get rid of it before the CPI report on Wednesday. If it drops down under 329 today, I'll probably end up taking profits. That'll probably be like, they'll be back to 225. I bought them for 180, so that'll be 225, 180, 90 in profit off of that trade. If I can get out today. But ideally I can wait till tomorrow, and if there's any sort of gap down for the market for any reason, I don't want to buy it. I don't think that it'll buy it. I don't have enough buying power in this account to buy it. But yeah, if it goes back above 225 today, I'll profit off of it. Hopefully holding it into tomorrow and seeing below 329, like 328 would be really nice. Or like 327 if it's like just a horrible day. Today it's already down 2%, so tomorrow's likely not going to be a big drop, but if it does, that'll pay out even more than what I'll get for this 225. Do I go in the money or out of the money? Usually I'm going out of the money. Just because they're a lot cheaper, you'll get a better ratio in terms of your delta to the premium. So say we're looking at, a 330 put on Microsoft, which is at the money. If we look at the delta on it, it should be about 50-ish. Let's see. Yeah, negative 49 delta, trading for 355. So your ratio is about 1 to 7. So for every 350 you spend, you make $50. So for every 100 you spend, you make, 0.5 over 350. Let's see, that's not right. So for every 100 you spend, 50 over 350. You get about 14% return. So $14 for every 100 you spend. Whereas, say we go with the 320 strike price instead, delta is 15, the premium is 80. So we'll do 15 over 80, you get an 18% return versus the 14% return. So now for every $100 I'm spending, I'm getting $19 instead of the 14 I was getting before from the 330. So personally, I like to go out of the money. But the deeper you go out of the money, the more that time decay is going to impact you. So you do have to be in and out of your trades in a relatively quick manner depending on your expiration. So if you're setting like a weekly expiration, generally I like to be out within like 1 or 2 days. If it's a Friday expiration, I like to be out by like say Tuesday or something like that. If it's a monthly expiration, usually I'll give it like a week. So say we went with the August expiration, August, what is the third Friday? August 18th. So for this one, I would probably want to be out within the next couple of weeks, just because you are going to be paying a much higher premium for that August expiration, 6 weeks until expiration or whatever it is, versus a weekly. So if you do decide to go with the monthly options, you can hold them for a little bit longer, still make a profit. But with the weekly options, you generally want to be out in and out pretty quickly. $325 is my target. Let's see, for Microsoft, I'm looking for the next couple of days. I'm looking for anything probably under, I think 328 would be suitable for me. So crossing below those lows at 329.23 and then giving a little bit more. If it's today's expiration, I think I'll probably take anything less than 329.23. But if it's, if I'm closing out of it today, then anything below 329.23. But if it's tomorrow, I'm holding it into, if we don't see that level today, then I would like to see probably another dollar or two. So like 328, 327, somewhere in that range. But yeah, we're seeing a pretty decent pullback for everything. Again, we had that V-shaped recovery started, but did not follow through with it above 367. Currently trading at 365.60. It's a pretty flat morning, very volatile but flat morning. Looks like Tesla's gaining some support right at 270 here. Not a trade I would want to take, but could play out. Let's see, Nvidia's trading to 421, so almost back to 420. That's a pretty wild day. 425 to 420 and then back down. Contracts are trading for 430. We sold them at 415. Hello, welcome. Yeah, Microsoft's just trading flat at that 330 level. Catching a little bit of support right below it, 329.70 at the low. So we can breach this low. Probably could get a new daily low. But that 370 support could be pretty tricky here. Let's see if there is a decent drop in the puts to reverse it. Volume and open interest. Yeah, the volume drops almost 50%, not quite. And then the open interest drops almost 50%, and then the volume drops by about 75%. But usually I look for more than a 50% drop on both of those, and you're not quite getting that for the puts. 5,400 to 2,800. It's like 45%. IWM is still a hot trade today. Very odd to see Qs down 0.2% and IWM up 1.5%. But you get these kind of days where rotation days, what you would call them, where you're seeing Qs basically flatter down, and then you're seeing small caps or industrial staples in the Dow Jones up a pretty good amount. Dow Jones currently up 0.4%, and the IWM currently up 1.5% versus the Qs again down 0.2%. So it's not a huge sell-off for the Qs. You are seeing a huge sell-off for a few names like Amazon, Microsoft, Google are all down 2%, and even Tesla's down 1.2%. But across the board, you're looking at Qs only down 0.25%. So it's not a super heavy drop for the ETF. All right. And Microsoft's just under 330 again. If it breaches the 329.70 low, that would be a lower high. Looking at 34 RSI, so it's definitely selling off. Pretty weak, not extreme. It was getting pretty extreme at 329.30. All right, retesting 330 yet again here. Tesla's back down to 270. Pretty flat last 30 minutes, just going back and forth between 270 and 273. Looking slightly more bearish, getting rejected at about 50 on the RSI. So if you're looking for momentum trade, you could get it below 270. And the 265 put really isn't that expensive for this week's expiration. It's only $5 out of the money. I don't think I would want to purchase it myself, but something that could play out. Let's see, the lowest that they went was 290, going for 330 again. And the highest they went was 450. So you have a decent risk reward on the trade. If it does go back to the lows. Yeah, Microsoft's just having a hard time getting under 330 here. There's a lot of volume that just went into those puts, though. So somebody probably just put in a large block trade for the 325 puts on Microsoft. Let's see what the volume was. Get rid of this. I can't really see it, actually. Still don't see it. Okay, I'll just copy and paste this, I guess. Thinkorswim's acting a bit weird. Now it's not even showing the bid ask or anything. Okay, well, Thinkorswim doesn't want to act right. Alright, well, I guess that'll be all the trading for today since Thinkorswim's acting up. Again, hopefully this will go down to the lows at 329.23. It is gaining some support at 330, so it might exit soon if it goes a little bit higher. These trades are going for negative 40 in losses. So if we do see this still acting as support, I'll exit. But if we do end up breaking below 330, again, planning to take profits for this at 225, and I bought them for 182. So that's all the trades for today, and I will catch y'all tomorrow at 9:30. See you, everybody.